Well, welcome back. I'm Grid 7, and I'm going to do this. It's an op-ed from the Western Journal talking about how if Trump's achievements would be canonized if the Obama administration had done them. And this just shows how two-faced our media has become. And really, this has been going on for almost a couple of decades now. This isn't the thing, but the Trump administration has really just brought this out. In 2017, the liberal Schornscheiser Center on Media, Politics and Public Policy at the Harvard University found that 93% of CNN's coverage of Trump administration was negative. Yeah. The center found similarly negative Trump coverage at other major news outlets. I mean, they needed a study to figure that one out. All you had to do was take a look. Even now, go to any of the major networks, and look at their headlines, and they're almost all the negative. The election year 2020 has only accelerated that bias to the point that major networks and newspapers and cable organizations are now fused with the Joe Biden campaign. Yeah, Joe Biden can't do anything wrong. Now, here's a softball question. What did you have for lunch? Ooh. Now, sometimes stories are covered only in terms of political agendas. Not just sometimes with Trump, that's almost all they are, is political agenda. As it says, take COVID-19. The media assured us that the Trump administration's handling of the pandemic has been a disaster. They've been saying that since the beginning. They've criticized it. And their conclusions are not supported by evidence. In fact, the media has flip-flopped. I actually haven't looked this up, so I don't know. But this article states that the coronavirus death rate per million people is similar to or lower than most major European countries except Germany. And our media tells us how bad the Trump administration has been compared to Europe and this and that. And when the virus was at its worst, before the partisan campaign of the election year heated up, the governors in our 4 largest states had only compliments for the Trump administration. Now that would be Andrew Cuomo, Gavin Newsom, Greg Abbott, Ron DeSantis, and they did. I don't know much about Greg Abbott lately. I know Cuomo. Now there's a lot of Cuomo and Newsom. You get those. Let's put COVID patients in nursing homes and cover it up. And I wonder how many of our deaths were a result of those policies. But you don't hear that in the media. No. Can't cover that one. That's bad against Democrats. The most recent conclusions of impartial heads of federal agencies responsible for coordinating national and state policies are about the same. One was actually minister in the Obama administration. They haven't faulted Trump's administration for the response, and they attribute any shortcomings to initial global ignorance. Yes, I don't know if you recall it, but I remember early on nobody knew what the hell was going on. There was some things. The death rate was up to 7-10%, and it was just misinformation after misinformation. But I do remember this one. Nancy Pelosi criticizing the necessary travel ban. I remember many people on the left calling it racist. And how dare he do that? And I do remember Democrats, I don't remember Pelosi in general, told people there was no reason to cancel planned travel to San Francisco's Chinatown or New York's Chinatown, or I think Italy had a Hug a Chinaman Day. It just made no sense. And then, of course, last 2 weeks, the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, has achieved stunning breakthroughs in Middle Eastern diplomacy. It's been a decade, it said half a century since something like this. Countries once hostile to Israel, such as the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain, are now formally recognize it. other nations may follow. No, that's a big breakthrough for Israel and all of that. But no, that's actually, I think, one of the reasons why Trump was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Twice or something like that. I haven't kept up with that. I don't look at the thing. No, all of them would have been canonized by their achievement. No, if Obama had done that, it would have been front page, a shoo-in for the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, just glorious upon glory. But instead, you barely get any recognition of it. And of course, now remember back in 2017, the media suggested that Trump's plan to get out of the Iran nuclear deal and the Paris Accord, to confront Chinese mercantilism, to forge new alliances between Israel and moderate Arab regimes, and all of that type of stuff was counterproductive or sheer madness. Well, when you continue doing the same stupid things over and over again, they don't work. You need to do something else. Saying an embargoed and bankrupt Iran is teetering on the brink. China is increasingly being ostracized by much of the world. They're having an argument with Australia. Those two are starting to go at it a little bit. They've had problems with their fishing fleets with, I think, Argentina. Argentina Navy's fired on China's fishing fleets now for about 2-3 years. U.S. has cut its carbon emissions, often at a rate superior to those nations still adhering to the Paris Climate Accord targets. I mean, you don't need a thing to just reduce things. Cross-border illegal immigration has been reduced, according to many metrics. This one, I don't know this one much about this one, simply because it seems like it goes down, it comes up, it goes down. So I'm not going to mention too much about that one. No, NATO members are meeting their commitments. That's the way it was supposed to be. And as I said, is any of this considered news? No, because that makes Trump look good. And now, as I said, instead we get every 3 or 4 days the public said a series of fantasy bombshells, much like the daily hysterias of the Robert Mueller investigation into alleged collusion between Trump and Russia. Now, it says 2-year media hype dud, but I think it's almost 3. Seems like that's been going on since Trump got elected. Now, Trump has warned us about the post office disrupting mail-in ballots, and I'm wary of the whole entire mail-in thing, even without Trump saying anything. It seems like every election, if there's a close call in some Democrat area or something like that, suddenly they find a bunch of ballots that are just enough to get the Democrat to win. Ever notice that? I don't notice it so much with Republicans happening, but it happens quite often with Republicans. Oh, look at this. We found these ballots in the back of the car right here that need to be counted. We're down 500. Oh, what do you know? 501 votes for this guy. Hey, we won. Yeah. We read that Trump defiled the memory of fallen American soldiers in cemeteries abroad. No, that turned out to be a false allegation by The Atlantic. Lectured us Trump never took COVID-19 seriously. Heck, I'm sorry, Democrats and the media didn't take it seriously either. No. I said, no, we're demonstrably untrue. Supported by anonymous sources or whatever. I'm not talking too well this morning. And of course, no, it is right. The news we once understood it is dead. It's a political hit piece now against Trump because most of them are leftist. Now, they're not liberal. They're leftist. They have an agenda. And it's time that the media be told that they aren't right. My 2 cents. What do you think? I'll see you next video.